So we are going to take a look at the Marvel Legends Maximum Series Spider-Man figure. We're going to take a look at half of it, I guess you can say, as what you see here is what I have. I don't have the full array of accessories that he comes with. Why, you may ask? Because I bought this part of a loose lot and it turned out to be a lot cheaper and I couldn't pass it up. Per figure, once I did the math, it was about $14 per figure, and I couldn't pass that up. Honestly, for 14 bucks, the Maximum Series Spider-Man, even though it doesn't come with all the accessories, seems like a pretty good deal to me. And so here he is. I absolutely refuse to have bought this figure at $50 retail price, and even now having it in hand, as amazing as this figure really is, it's not worth $50. It really is not. Unfortunately for me, of course, we're all different, but for me, I do not believe this should have been $50. It's like it feels like to me it's a little bit better than what we've gotten before. And I'm not trying to say anything to be controversial. I'm not trying to hate or nothing. I love Marvel Legends. I've supported Hasbro in the past. I still support them to a certain extent. You know, I'm not buying everything they release like I used to. So to a certain extent, but I still buy their stuff when it makes sense, when the price is right. And if the price is not right, I either don't buy it, I wait for a sale, I see it on clearance, maybe I'll pick it up if the price is right. And if it never does, then I don't get it. That's my mentality now, especially with all these price hikes, with tariffs, with everything that's been going on so far. Unless everything normalizes again, which I don't think it will. That's how I'm going to go about things when it comes to toys and figures now, and that's across the board. That being said, $50 is still quite a bit, and I don't want to keep mentioning that because I feel like every review is probably talking about the $50 price tag and all this and that, but it's a big deal because that's associated with this release. You know, you don't just overlook that and just salivate over. It is a great figure. Trust and believe when I say this is probably the best Spider-Man figure that Hasbro has released. Is it the best Spider-Man Marvel Legends ever? I don't know. I've never owned them all. I never owned the McFarlane one. I've never owned any other ones, I guess. I've had the Mafex before, which was pretty damn good, but that was also a very expensive figure. Now, this is being compared to as the McFarlane version of the Hasbro Marvel Legends Spider-Man. And I'm going to bring in the Renew Your Vows one in and everything like that to take a look at it. But one of the things I've noticed that makes this one better is just they kind of scaled him down a little bit. He's a little bit slender. He's a little bit more smaller than the other figures of Spider-Man they've released proportionally. He is. So again, I'm going to throw up on the screen all the other accessories that this figure comes with. That I don't have here, but as you can see, I have his head sculpt that everybody is hating on. I have his hands. I believe these are all his hands. He got the fist on the figure. We have the wall crawl hands. We have the web slinging grabbing hand, and then we have the web shooting hands here. Oh, he does. Yes, he is missing the bare hand ones with the web shooters. That's the whole hand and forearm, and he's missing the what's the other one, the one that has the sculpted web coming off of these. So he comes with another pair of hands with forearm that has sculpted web, which is really, really cool. And then all of the other accessories he has off the top of my head that I can think of are the web shooter, right? Like the actual webbing. He's got a web shield, he's got a web shooting out, he's got a stand to hold the web. So he's got an array of web accessories, which makes sense. He also comes with another masked head, which this one did not come with. But it did come with the base one, which is the one I like better and I prefer better. Like I said, this is a half review of this guy. I'm mainly just going to talk about the figure. That's the most important part. But again, there's plenty of other full reviews out there with all the accessories. But like I said, even with all the accessories, I feel like 50 is a reach, but they could definitely get away with it with Spider-Man. I don't think they can get away with it with Hulk, and I don't think they will. But Spider-Man, you might be able to sway some people on that, especially if you make the definitive version of Spidey, which I think this is, like I said, their best one yet for Hasbro Marvel Legends. It's just everything sits very good. Even his vanilla pose just looks very good and natural. It feels good. It looks good. Um, I didn't have any mess up webbing lines, thankfully. No major QC issues. If I really look at it, I'm sure I'll find a speck somewhere. But in terms of his head and his eyes, they look pretty good. There is a small, ever so small nick on his on our right side, but his left eye. That's a little bit bothersome, but it's there. I gotta mention it, right? But it could be worse, I guess. Like I said, 14 bucks for this guy. I'll take it all day long, even with the less accessories. At this point, this is what if this would have released on its own. It would have came with hands, probably not nearly as much as these hands that I have here. Maybe just one pair or two pairs, maybe another head, and that would have been it. Uh, and it would have been 25 bucks, right? So, anyways, articulation wise, it's got the most points of articulation that I've seen on a Marvel Legend, I guess, from Hasbro. And like I've said in previous videos, I do wish it came with a waist swivel. I think this needed to be fully decked out 100%, and I think they tried. They definitely tried, and they did. But the only thing missing here is the waist swivel, which I don't know if it would have been possible to do, and that's probably why they didn't do it. But I feel like I would have taken the waist swivel and maybe just the diaphragm joint and not the crunch, or one of these two. But the ab crunch and diaphragm joint combo is actually pretty good as well. So, but if you want a swivel, you're gonna have to swivel his torso, which will break up the design here, of course. And then the other new point of articulation on here is the neck, the bottom of the neck. He's got, his neck is just articulated now, which you don't see that ever on Marvel Legends. You see that with imports and Mafex or Mafex, however you want to pronounce it, but you don't see that with Marvel Legends, at least as much. I can't really remember any figure that comes with that. Of course, we got the toe hinges. We've seen that before. Everything else is the same that we've seen before. They gave him some more gappage and space in the groin, as you can see, and that's of course so you can articulate his legs all the way up. He can kind of do a split, not really, but it's pretty good compared to others. And he's got the drop down, as you can see. So now there's an even bigger gap, but his legs drop down. GI Joes have been doing that for quite a bit. He does have a forearm swivel, which isn't very common, but that was to allow for the hand swaps for his alternate hands with forearms that I don't have with this right now. But that's what that was for, basically. Everything else is something we've seen before. The shoulders are a little bit, I think, better cut than previous ones, so you can expand his arms like way out. So as far back as you can see right now, it's pretty far back. And then as far forward as, let's see how much he should be able to hug somebody, right? So he can cross his arms, he can Wakanda forever. So that's good range right there. I'm really digging the neck articulation and just the slimness of this. Everything is sculpted very, very cool and very nice. The head is slimmer too. The mask design is one of the more iconic looks for sure. So it's definitely a good Spider-Man figure. I don't think anyone has ever said this is an ugly, bad looking figure at all. The main complaints was just the price tag, and it should rightfully be so. Yeah, I don't know. I don't want to keep. I don't want to keep talking about it. Honestly, I don't. I've already made my point. You guys already understand how I feel about it. And it's the reason why I didn't pay full price for this. But as you can see, aesthetically, it is a beautiful looking Spider-Man figure. Will they be able to replicate this kind of look with other figures for this Maximum series, however long this lasts? Which I don't foresee it lasting very long. I don't know, man. Spider-Man, you can see a difference here. The hardcore collector, the collectors like us that have been buying these legends for years and years, we're gonna pick this MC, man. This looks different. But the casual person, the casual collector, is gonna pick this up and then pick up Renew Your Vows and be like, it's not that big of a difference. I'll just stick with the Renew Your Vows. But I don't know if they'll be able to replicate this much of an upgrade in other characters, and I think that's evident with the Hulk, because in my opinion the Hulk is not an upgrade. It's not a Maximum Hulk. I think that could have been a lot better. I didn't go exactly how I thought that would go, honestly, man. It's not a Hulk review, but if you guys seen my previous videos talking about that Hulk figure, you already know how I feel about it. It's a disappointment for me, especially with the reused legs. That sucks. Anyways, this guy is not reused at all. As far as I'm concerned, I think the feet are even different because everyone was talking about these gaps here at the toes. Only reason why this is a big deal is because when you pose him with his legs up, swinging around, you're going to see this big ugly gap. And on the promo shots on the box, which I don't have a box either, it came loose. It was flat, I believe, so that was a little false advertising on their part. Sure, it was just a digital render, but again, that's not what the figure looks like. All right, so we've looked at everything here. We've really seen the articulation from what we can look at. I've shown you the new points of articulation this guy has. Everything else is pretty much the same. The angles are not as deep as, they're not any deeper than other Marvel Legends Spider-Mans. One thing that I've also been hearing a fuss about is these feet, that they seem kind of large, and they do seem kind of large, I guess. Now that I really look at it, but I guess he'll stand, right? He won't fall over. But yeah, they do seem a little bit large. I don't know. They don't bother me as much as it bothers others, but it's worth pointing out, I guess. All right, so here's the head sculpt. It's okay. It could have been better. I can see why people don't really like it, but if anything, we could probably use this for like a Kit Bash figure, like I don't know, just a random citizen walking around or something. Yeah, that could have been better. I feel like it could have been better. From what I have here, I'll just show you up close. The web shooting hands, which aren't the shooting ones, but these are the pre-shooting ones, I guess. They're posed differently. So the right one has like a curled pinky, while the left one has straight fingers on both of them. Then we have our grabby hands for the web that I don't have, but I have plenty of webs from previous Spider-Man figures, so that's fine. That I don't use too, by the way. Here is those hands. So there's that, and then the wall crawling hands, of course. Again, the official full release comes with a lot more than that. He also comes with the Spidey sense effect too, which is actually really cool. I wish this one came with it, but it's fine. I'm fine with that. So his arms do stretch out, and they go up like that, so that's cool. The shoulders, like I showed you, they go forward and back. Bicep swivels, the double jointed elbows are pretty standard. Wrist swivel, hinge disc there. The ab articulation is the ab crunch diaphragm, so he bends back like this, and then he'll crunch forward about this far. If you bend the legs forward as well, which I've seen a lot of people do, then you can see how he can almost touch his toes. So that's a good bend with the combination of the groin articulation there. So speaking of that, like I showed you a little bit earlier, you're going to get him some good swinging poses, some good kicking poses. The knees are good, but then it's a little gummy at the shin swivel here, or you can see it wants to pop off, which is not cool. Ankles will go forward and back, the tilt, and then the toe hinge right there at the big old foot. Alright, so we're going to start off with the Renew Your Vows Spider-Man. You can see here he is proportionally a little bit bigger. He's a little bit taller as well. The face is wider. His torso is wider as well. You could just see how just that subtle downsize and all those aspects I just mentioned makes Spider-Man way better in action figure form. He just looks better in the Maximum series, which he should, 100%, right? But that being said, it's not that much more different than what we've gotten in the past, especially with the Renew Your Vows, because before this one, this was the most articulated one that we've gotten, because they added the toe hinges here on this figure for the first time. This one has everything that this figure has except for that neck articulation, and the forearm articulation is not there. The shoulders aren't as deep, right? But he still has them. Really, the only new points of articulation is the neck and the forearm, which is crazy. It's crazy. I mean, how much more can you add, right? Right? But that just goes to show how we've already had a pretty decent Spider-Man as it was already. Like, it's Legends on their own are meant to be super articulated. They already have a ton of articulation points. It's normal. That is the whole point of Marvel Legends 6-inch figures. So to try to introduce a maximum series, like an extra deluxe series, to kind of say like what we already have for all these years isn't as articulated as they can be, I guess. I don't know, because it's not like they added too much more. Now, what they added did make a little bit of a difference. At least the neck did. The forearm one, not really necessary, because that's just really there for the swaps, right? That figure comes with. I don't think anyone's gonna rotate the forearm and pose it in any type of way to make it look good. I don't know, but the point I'm just trying to get across here is that in terms of articulation points, it's not that much more of a bump. If anything, it's just one extra point, and that's about it. They've improved the groin, yes. They've improved the range of what they've already established in these figures, and these points, such as the shoulders. So maybe that's their selling point, right? Just improved range, improved just design, I guess. But for me, the big difference here is the sculpt. It's way better. The sculpt is way better. This is how he should look like, and you could just see it here side by side how much better that looks. Um, the mask alone, the head shape, the mask alone does look a lot better than this one right here. The design looks a lot better as well. Now, if I take out Renew Your Vows and I throw in, this is the Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, but this was the one that came out in the Walmart exclusive with the cell shading. But it's the same body mold as the one that came in a 3-pack. This one's actually really cool. I like the Spider-Man a lot. I like the one that came in a 3-pack a lot, and a lot of people also like it a lot. He's shorter. He's not as slender or slim, but he's good enough. No toe hinge, no neck. Of course, no one's gonna have the neck articulation like this guy does. But no toe hinge on this guy, and that's it. He has everything else. He's got the ab crunch, he's got the diaphragm, he's got the butterfly joints, all the bells and whistles when it comes to all of that. So again, on the grand scheme of things, not the biggest upgrade in terms of articulation, but that's an argument that is kind of hard to make. Like I said already, how much more can you really add to it? What you can only do is improve on the range and mobility of the current system that we have, right? So here is I love this one. This is the Retro Spider-Man Series 1 one. This was back when we still had pinned knees and pinned elbows. So this was, I think, probably our last Spider-Man with the pinned system. And then shortly after this guy came out, I mean, this was everyone's #1 Spider-Man for the longest time. And I just love the colors on this guy. The blue is beautiful. Oof. But when this one came out, this was hot. This was hot. It's still a great looking figure. It still blows Pizza Spidey out the water. It did have, you see the pins right there. That's why we got rid of the pins, boy. That is ugly. So, but yeah, they made this masterpiece, if anything. Not a masterpiece anymore, but at the time it was. Then they gave us the new and improved one, which was a lot better. It was pinless, and they added toes. This one, like I've already said, it's in its own way, it's awesome. It's great. It's a very good looking Spider-Man figure. I'm gonna throw in the Black Suit Spidey, which is literally just the Retro Spider-Man release, just painted black. I believe they made this guy again pinless in the Renew Your Vows body mold, but I don't have it. I don't remember if that was a 2-pack or what, or if I just looked at it, I was like, I don't really need it because I have this one, but I don't have it. I'm pretty sure they did make one though. But again, this is the same thing as that one I just showed you. Now, are they gonna make a Black Suit Spidey in this Maximum series? Probably. Why not? You have the mold, reuse it, I guess, and release it again. I don't know if they're gonna change up the accessories. I guess they would, right? They would have to. That'd be crazy if they didn't. But they've done crazier things, such as the Hulk. So I want to go ahead and do an unmasked head comparison here. And this is the Renew Your Vows version. And this is, of course, what we're reviewing right now, the Maximum series. And I like this one better for sure. I mean, yeah, I like it a little bit better. It's not the best, but something about this head sculpt that I don't know what it is. Like I said, it's not the worst of the worst, but it's not I don't know, man. Somebody tell me what it is, because is it just me? But it just doesn't look like Peter Parker. I guess it could be, but that being said, I wish this came with like a mask accessory where like when you have this head, he's holding his mask, right? That would have been cool to add in there. But yeah. Anyways, not the biggest fan of this head sculpt. I think if they ever release this again, they'll improve it, or I hope they do. So one more thing, although he does have the neck joints, it's a little tight because although he can tilt his head with that neck joint, they used a ball peg on a disc hinge, so his head tilt is not great. Like I've seen better head tilting out of regular figures. Like his head tilt could have been a lot better if it was just the double ball peg on the barbell one. I think is what they call it. So yeah, not the greatest range in terms of that, and I guess they could have made a little bit more gappier here so the neck can move around, but then that would have looked crazy, right? The seam would have looked nuts, but he's got the neck joint, but it's really limited. It's better than nothing, right? It's better than literally having nothing like this one, but um, I just expected that to be a little bit better in terms of range. All right, so that's it. That's my half review of this Maximum Series Spider-Man Marvel Legends figure. This was just basically me wanting to talk about it. I did get it for a lot cheaper, and I think that's the only way it's worth it. So look for it when it's being sold loose, incomplete possibly. Get it as cheap as possible, if that's even possible. I think I got lucky, but I expect this guy and Hulk, especially Hulk, to be seen at discount stores very soon, probably for the holiday season. So again, my full synopsis or my full thoughts on this guy is he's great. He is the best Spider-Man figure in Hasbro Marvel Legends. I keep saying it like that because I've never owned all of them. I can only imagine this is the best one out ever. But then again, imports, if you want to compare it to the imports, then that's a different topic and story. We have Sentinel, we have a bunch of other companies, right? So, but for Marvel Legends, this is probably the best one. I don't have the McFarlane one either, so I can't compare it to that. But that is some of people's top Spider-Man figures ever. So yeah, there's no denying it. It's great. It's a great looking figure. I think for it to have been fair, this this should have been like $35, 40 at tops for me, honestly. And that's not even reaching. That's not even being crazy. 40 is reasonable, and that's tops for this guy. 50 is just absurd. 35 used to be like the deluxe price, right? For like Archangel, and like that quickly changed to $39.99. But that goes to the 40 price tag, right? 35 to 40 would have been it. I think 30 would have been like dreaming, especially with all the accessory he comes with. But 35 to 40 would have been like, okay, that's fair. That's really fair, yeah. So that's it. That's my thoughts on it. Anyways, that's it. I'll catch you guys on the next one. So peace.